So, yeah, I mean, we at the moment we are really in a quite a situation here in the Sierra foothills, and in America as a whole. Not only are there like wildfires and quite a lot of smoke is in the sky since about 2 3 days around us here, but also we have to fight to even keep our post offices here in America because of what's going on that level as well. So the most core services of civilized humanity are threatened in these days here in America, which is quite shocking. Yeah. And, you know, I feel we can now either get completely lost in that fact, that so many things are at stake right now and the whole process is really accelerating, or we can use that pressure, to go deeper. And I certainly, would like to do that because that's the only thing which makes sense in times like that. I mean, it's the only thing which makes sense at any time. But if, we are having a comfortable life, it's easy to forget. But when things get really tough, then this is really the only thing which makes sense, is to use the pressure of the moment to go deeper, to go under the surface and to connect with something which is always there, but we need to pay attention to it. And meditation is the training, which gives us the capacity, the strength of mind, and the clarity to be able to really go under the surface and recognize that there's much more going on than what meets, the senses. And this teaching, it's is in all schools of Buddhism, is the teaching about the two truths, the conventional truth or everyday truth, of things going wrong and things going well, and people getting old and people getting born and people winning and people losing and all of that. So the challenges, of everyday life, and if we can really be with that, that's deeply transformative. But then, there comes the time when we start to pay attention to the ultimate truth or absolute truth, which is always operating at the same time. They are like two sides of the same coin. And if the going gets tough on the conventional level, we can use that as a wake-up call to pay attention to the ultimate level, to the absolute level. And the physical world, the physical reality of our lives, our bodies and our houses and cars and our possessions and our family members and all of that. And then the metaphysical level, which is, I've looked it up what metaphysical exactly means. It comes from the Greek, and it means something like after, behind, among the natural. So, that's something we need to pay attention to in order to notice it. But once we have noticed it, it gives us a sense of spaciousness and a sense of purpose in the midst of the greatest difficulty. And that's why I've chosen to speak about that today, those two truths, because at times like this, that's the only thing which can help us to stay sane in the midst of all of this. to kind of retain a certain level of functionality and, capacity to help ourselves and to help others. And I brought a sutta today. It's from the Samyutta Nikaya 3582, and it's called Loka Sutta, the world. Just read a little part of it. A monk asked the Buddha, in what respect does the word quote unquote world apply? And the Buddha replied, insofar as it disintegrates, monk, it is called the world. It is disintegrating, monk, therefore it is called the world. Meaning, impermanence. And that, finds its expression, in modern science as well as the second law of thermodynamics. Where it said that all systems tend towards entropy, which is disorder, falling apart. So if you don't, if you don't clean your house for a few weeks or few years, it's going to look very much under the impact of entropy. So we have to constantly kind of attend to, if we want to keep things, you know, looking okay, we have to constantly attend to them. And if we don't, if we just let them go, they tend to fall into disorder, in disarray. And so we have a certain control over things, but ultimately we do not. And I think those things which are going on now more and more around the planet in different countries, it really shows us we have gone really very far with trying to control, and now it's suddenly all kind of erupting into our face how futile that is. But at the same time, it's a learning opportunity for us. We just didn't have the maturity to, to be more in sync with reality. We just did what we did, and now we reap the results. And this is this is a, eternal law. We can't escape that. But we can cooperate, we can choose to open ourselves to that and take in the teaching, take it in and allow ourselves to be changed by it, because we need to change. There's no way that we can keep operating in that way. It's absolutely not possible. And there's these two truths: the ultimate truth and the conventional truth. There's some people may be believing, that ultimate truth is superior to conventional truth. But I think they really work together, because we need to have enough disillusionment by really fully living in the conventional truth so that we get interested in the ultimate truth. And I remember something which happened to me when I was about 13 years old. My brother and I, we went for a holiday over Christmas with my parents to the Canary Islands, which are about height of Algeria or so in the Atlantic Ocean. And we were going to the beach, and it was quite a stormy day. And we were just on the beach at the edge of the ocean playing with a ball, and then suddenly there was a riptide or something like this, because suddenly my brother and I, he was 12 and I was 13, we found ourselves quite far out, with very high waves out there in the Atlantic Ocean, and our parents were on the beach, far away, and we would kind of start shouting, help, help, and of course they couldn't hear us. It was very loud. And we both were very good swimmers, actually. So we were swimming and swallowing a lot of water, and the waves were really very high, and they come and push us down. And under the water and then struggling, come up again, get some air, go down again. And then at one point we lost contact, and I was immensely struggling and swallowed a lot of water, and got like pushed down by these very high breakers, under the surface, and just not anymore knowing where is up and where is down. It was very, very scary. And at one point I just gave up, because I thought that's it, I can't find my way back. And then, I don't know what then happened, but then at one point I knocked my knee, and then I stood up and suddenly the water was only knee deep. So I had given up, because I thought that's the end of it. But then somehow the ocean, took me back. Otherwise I wouldn't be here today, of course. And because it wasn't, my time had not yet come to die. So, I didn't have to do anything other than giving up the struggle. And then, I came out at the beach like quite far away from where I went in. So I was like going up the beach trying to find my family, and then finally I did find them, and they were really kind of very stressed out because my brother had already, reunited with them. But he said, that I'm out there and so on, and they were thinking I had died. So, but everything was a happy ending, and then we each got a nice T-shirt, I remember. And that was that. But I never forgot that experience. It was so touch and go, and I completely gave up. And then, because my time hadn't yet come, I, I was washed on the shore again, and here I am, and I can tell the story. So, and I'll never forget that. So, and that was where I have learned something, powerful, in at that very, very pressured situation, which was life-threatening. But at the same time, I gained a lot from it, a very powerful experience, which I'll never forget. And I think, whenever now something really very difficult happens, in the back of my mind, I think, what if I open to it? Maybe, who knows what's going to happen? I don't know. And that's what I think at the same situation, what's going on now, where there is so much at stake, but at the same time, we all know we do need to deeply change in order to continue living on this planet. We need to deeply change. So I brought a beautiful poem, and it's called The Dakini Speaks, and Dakini is the enlightened female principle in Tibetan Buddhism. And it's a powerful poem written by a Western woman. She's called Jennifer Wellwood. And she says, "My friends, let's grow up. Let's stop pretending we don't know the deal here. Or if we truly haven't noticed, let's wake up and notice. Look, everything that can be lost will be lost. It's simple. How could we have missed it for so long? Let's grieve our losses fully, like ripe human beings. But please, let's not be so shocked by them. Let's not act so betrayed, as though life had broken her secret promise to us. Impermanence is life's only true promise, and she keeps it with ruthless impeccability. To a child she seems cruel, but she is only wild, and her compassion exquisitely precise, brilliantly penetrating, luminous with truth. She strips away all the unreal to show us the real. This is the true ride. Let's give ourselves to it. Let's stop making deals for a safe passage. There isn't one anyway, and the cost is too high. We are not children anymore. The true human adult gives everything for what cannot be lost. Let's dance the wild dance of no hope. The true human adult gives everything for what cannot be lost. And that is this ultimate or the absolute truth. That everything is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and empty of a self. This will never be lost. Even, the physical manifestations, they change constantly. But this underlying truth is always the same. It's unchanging. And that's why we are here, to realize that to the extent possible in this lifetime. And those very intense conventional experiences, such as what we are experiencing right now, they actually are supportive, for forcing us into connecting with something deeper. Because nobody has ever realized the truth through comfort. It's always, some kind of discomfort, either, externally produced, or by just connecting suddenly, with the truth in ourselves we hadn't looked at. For example, suddenly realizing aging, old aging, sickness and death. So this, discomfort is actually, accelerating realization. It's grist for the middle. And whenever then we do notice, that our mind escapes again into judgment, into, not wanting or wanting something else, the moment we're noticing it, to just, with compassion, embracing that. Yes, we do have those habits, because that's how we have been educated and how we have been living for a very long time. But we can become conscious of those habits, and we can wash them away through reality checks. For example, as I was guiding us before in the guided meditation, and paying attention to impermanence, for example, that's such a training which helps us to wash away the ignorance by simply, being conscious of that which can easily escape us, especially in times of comfort. In times of discomfort, it's much more tangible. Yes, it's really like this. It's really like this. And noticing we do have this fear of opening to the unknown, and to discomfort. That's it's part of our makeup. So even, the most simple life forms like amoeba, if they are kind of experience some kind of stress coming from outside, they also contract. Even, on a cellular level, our whole body is like this too. So it's not something, we can kind of just change quickly, but we can be aware of it and then rise above it, or go deeper. Feeling the contraction in the body, becoming aware of the contraction in the mind, feeling that sense of wanting to run away, wanting to turn away, and then, allowing it to be there, but being more than just that, knowing it, and embracing it. That's again this paradox of those two truths existing at the same time. Yes, it's true, the whole body doesn't want all of this, and the mind also on a certain level. But then there is more than this, that which has seen into ultimate truth. That's how we um, cultivate wisdom, is by, sensitizing the mind so that the mind can actually pay attention to ultimate truth. And then, having the faith to act on that, what we know to be true. Because if we don't really, act on this, then if we don't actualize our insights by living accordingly, then we will not, our life won't change. So, fully responding to these insights requires faith. But if we don't try, if we don't take the risk, we can never develop any faith. So it's like, it's a constant kind of dance between, having compassion for our own reactions, but then at the same time having enough compassion to step beyond or underneath. And there's a beautiful quote from Trungpa Rinpoche, which he says, knowledge is transformed into wisdom by means of compassion. Compassion for ourselves and compassion for others. And that's the whole, as far as I understand it, the essence of the Mahayana teaching, where compassion is not just like, you know, uh, a mind state which is a noble mind state, but it's a strategy also for developing wisdom. It's a skillful means. And that I find very powerful, really. Knowledge is transformed into wisdom by means of compassion. And, to have that a sense of compassion with our own discomfort, on a physical level, a mental level, emotional level. And just, and through that, embracing of the resistance, just slowly melting that resistance. And, cultivating that a competence for discomfort, for bearing with discomfort, which is especially empowering in times like this. Because not only, can we be a source of support for others, but also we can, be much more grounded, and through that grounding, we can use these adversities for our own benefit. Because they are here anyway. They're gonna happen. They are happening. We have just a choice what we are doing with it. And we can use that vulnerability which we have, with those very vulnerable bodies which we have. We can use it as an advantage, because it forces us to adapt. It forces us to change. And, in times like this, it's really our only chance to stay kind of sane and to just do what we have come for, really. Why we came, into this life is because we want to continue to grow in truth. We want to continue to realize the way things truly are. And now we have cornered ourselves, so to say. Now there's nothing else left than really facing up to what's happening. And I think it's also really important, to not get lost in being paying only attention to what's coming to us from the news, but paying more attention actually to our inner reaction to all of this. We do need to know, some things from the news, but we don't need to, endlessly kind of be bombarded by the news. So it's really important to really pay attention to what's happening here and how we are receiving all of this. Because those news which we are barraged with, they all are the result of, or many of them are the result of like ignorant minds, creating a lot of chaos. So really very important not to lose ourselves in the thinking mind, but really, daring to raise the bar of our practice and, doing things like with more, just taking a risk to be a little bit more open and willing, to be changed by truth and to, in that way also be a source of support for others. I think that story is from Thich Nhat Hanh, where he says in those, in the boat, the refugee boats, if there was just one person in a boat who didn't panic, that could rescue a lot of people. If there was is just one person who can stay grounded, grounded in the ultimate truth, not getting completely lost in conventional truth, and really knowing deeply, they are both coexisting at the same time. And I have another poem with me from the Bhikkhuni book, and it's from Bhikkhuni, she's called Sela, Bhikkhuni Sela, which is translated the rock. The rock which is, this ultimate truth, ultimate reality. Long after the front gate swung closed, behind me, I could still hear them. Why talk so much about death? Find a husband to share your bed. Bring children into the world to leave behind after you have gone. But ever since I invited my own death into bed with me, I no longer feel lonely or afraid of the dark. What do we really bring into the world? What do we leave behind? A gate swings closed, then opens. Where does it come from? Where does it all go? But ever since I invited my own death into bed with me, I no longer feel lonely or afraid of the dark. So that's, she says the same as the Dakini. And the Dakini speaks about it more like in a very dynamic Vajrayana style, and Bhikkhuni Sela speaks about it more in a kind of simple and straightforward way. You know how important it is to really face ultimate truth, but we can only really get there by really being in the fully in conventional truth. You know, being really transformed through opening to our experience. Transformation and transcendence. And I think I want to read the Dakini poem one more time. And then we can maybe have a bit of time for some comments or questions if there are any. The Dakini speaks. My friends, let's grow up. Let's stop pretending we don't know the deal here. Or if we truly haven't noticed, let's wake up and notice. Look, everything that can be lost will be lost. It's simple. How could we have missed it for so long? Let's grieve our losses fully, like ripe human beings. But please, let's not be so shocked by them. Let's not act so betrayed, as though life had broken her secret promise to us. Impermanence is life's only promise to us, and she keeps it with ruthless impeccability. To a child she seems cruel, but she's only wild, and her compassion exquisitely precise, brilliantly penetrating, luminous with truth. She strips away the unreal to show us the real. That is the true ride. Let's give ourselves to it. Let's stop making deals for a safe passage. There isn't one anyway, and the cost is too high. We are not children anymore. The true human adult gives everything for what cannot be lost. Let's dance the wild dance of no hope. So I think that's a really powerful poem. And she strips away the unreal to show us the real. And, you know, the ultimate truth is the real. And from the standpoint of that, the ultimate truth, this life is seen as rather unreal. But it's the place where we learn. It's the place where we connect with something deeper. So they both belong together. And in times like this, it's a great solace to know this.